Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on the channel. It's Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor, and today guys, it's going to be the first Q&A video I have done on the channel in a long time. I had a bunch of questions submitted to me both from the last video where I announced the Q&A and talked about some other topics, as well as the community tab that I have here on the channel where I was requesting questions. So I have questions from both the last video and that community post that I'm going to be answering from a few different creators actually, and some other people here on the channel. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions, by the way. I very much appreciate it. I love when you guys get involved with this kind of thing. I love interacting with the community and the people here on the channel, fan base, whoever and whatever. I love doing these. So thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Hopefully we'll do another Q&A later down the line. Before I start answering a lot of the questions that we have here, guys, when this video goes up, when you're watching it now, there will be another community tab poll here on the channel. So if you guys go to the community section, there's going to be a poll up for two obscure games that I'm planning on doing reviews on, which would be a DS game known as Hot Wheels Beat That, and The Incredibles, which is a licensed game from the Pixar movie on the Game Boy Advance. Like I said, I want to do more obscure and fun reviews here on the channel, like I mentioned in the last vlog video that I did. So you guys can vote on either of these two. These are two games of differing qualities that I have played in my childhood, and yeah, if you guys want to see me talk about one of those, go and vote in the community tab, and whichever one racks up the most votes will be the next review. So, that in mind, guys, let's get into the questions. So the first question we have here comes from Goof Norton, who's actually one of my oldest YouTube friends, so shout out to you, Goof. Thank you very much for submitting your question. And his question was, what is your favorite Castlevania title? I've mentioned multiple times my love for the Castlevania series. I think most of the games in this series are fantastic. I love many of the Metroidvania games, and I've dabbled in some of the other games in the past, like Lament of Innocence I've tried out recently, as well as like Rondo of Blood, but none of those games really stick for me. Mainly it's the Metroidvania stuff. And in terms of my favorite Castlevania game, it's without a doubt Symphony of the Night. I absolutely love this game. Not only is it my favorite Castlevania, but it is one of my favorite video games of all time. And I've done a full-length review here on the channel a few years ago about Symphony. But it's just fantastic in pretty much every regard. It's beautiful pixel art, amazing music, exploration, gameplay, customization with Alucard. You know, there's a lot of things to really love. Plus, the whole reverse castle, hidden ending / completely hidden half of the game that you have to go through what you may consider a tedious side quest that you really aren't going to have any idea about unless you know what to do or you look up a guide. But it's still fantastic for both the time and now. The only real complaints I had about the game, and this is commonplace, the story is lackluster. It's never really a huge factor in any Castlevania game, at least the Metroidvanias. Or maybe some of the later ones anyway. But in Symphony, the story is just kind of there as like a backdrop, and the voice acting is notoriously cheesy. I don't hate any part of that. I think the story's fine, and the voice acting adds charm to the game, but they are definitely things that you will notice in a more negative light compared to the rest of the game. But Symphony is a flawed masterpiece, in my opinion. It has some issues, but it is an amazing game, and that would be my favorite Castlevania game. So, thank you, Goof, for your question. So the next question I have here comes from Brent Peevler, 466. And his question was, what do I do outside of YouTube? So, as you guys know, and I've talked about this in the past, I have graduated recently from my university with a number of degrees. My main end goal is to be a history teacher. It's subject matter that I've been extremely passionate about, and it's a career I've been wanting to do for a long time. So outside of making videos for the past several years, I have graduated with my bachelor's degree, and most recently, a few months ago, I graduated with my master's degree. And I'm currently going for a teaching license, which, as of this video, has been out for a few weeks, so I'm still waiting to hear back on that, so I can legally work in a school and teach students and all that, so. But outside of that, that's typically what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of college stuff. I've been doing a lot of work. I work a retail job, pay bills, put back money, and all that other stuff. I buy and resell on the side as a hobby. I've mentioned that in the past, where I buy video games and resell them. Spend time with friends and family, do a lot of that as well. I travel around. I go to as many different cool events as I possibly can. One of the biggest events that I've done recently was I went to a Nickelback concert in Hershey, Pennsylvania not too long ago, and I've been on a number of cool trips since then. So typically it's been college, work, some side stuff I've done in terms of like a side business, content here on the channel, and just working toward my future with like my license and then spending time with loved ones and that kind of thing. So those are some of the specific things I've been up to as of late. I do a lot of stuff outside of the channel, but right now that's kind of where I'm at before I actually start working my career job in the future. So that's the kind of stuff that I'll be doing in the future and the stuff I'm doing now. And yeah, that's about it for right now. But thank you for the question, Brent. Really appreciate it. The next question we have here comes from GamingTastic4905. And first of all, thank you very much for submitting your question for the video. I very much do appreciate it. And they're a relatively new viewer here on the channel, so hope you enjoy your stay. Try and do a lot of fun videos here with you guys in the community, but hope you enjoy your time. And once again, thank you for the question. But their question was, what is my favorite and least favorite video game? And I'm going to keep my favorite part very briefly, because I've mentioned this in videos in the past. My favorite video game of all time is Final Fantasy VII. It was my first ever RPG experience, or JRPG experience whatsoever. It introduced me to so many other amazing games. Other games of the Final Fantasy series, Chrono Trigger. It introduced me to the Lunars series. I have interest in playing the Star Ocean series. I most recently been playing through Sea of Stars, which is a new indie-inspired RPG. So it's gotten me into the RPG genre and appreciating storytelling in video games. Not only that, but 7 is just amazing in almost every regard, from visuals, music, storytelling, characters, with the exception of some like level design issues and some mini games I don't really care for too much that are required in game. 7 is an amazing game, and it completely changed the entire landscape of gaming. So 7 is without a doubt my favorite game. My second favorite game is Chrono Trigger, and if it wasn't for 7, if it wasn't for me liking the story and characters just a little bit more, Chrono Trigger would have been my favorite video game of all time. That game is the only one I consider perfect. And the only reason, again, it's not my favorite, despite me thinking that, is because I think there's a few elements that 7 does a little better. Plus, again, 7 has a lot of personal meaning to me, so, you know, you can't really beat that, all in all. But definitely Final Fantasy VII. Least favorite game of all time, that is an extreme toss-up for me. I have reviewed games here in the past that have been completely awful or disappointing. Honestly, the last really bad game I reviewed here on the channel was probably Mission Impossible on the PlayStation 1. That is one of the worst games I've ever played, and probably one of the worst licensed games ever created, at least from what I've experienced. But that's not my least favorite game, though. That one would probably be Devil May Cry 2. And even though Mission Impossible on the PS1 is a worse game in terms of visuals and gameplay and pretty much in everything else, Devil May Cry 2 isn't very good whatsoever either, and it's more disappointing for me because I'm a big fan of the Devil May Cry series. DMC 3 is also one of my favorite games of all time, and I think the series for the most part is pretty good. And DMC 2, it's not just a bad game, it's extremely bland, it's boring in the level design, the visuals, the combat, the weapon upgrade system, Dante's character, the lackluster storytelling and bland side characters, the open levels and terrible boss fights. It's just an awful game all the way around. So despite the fact that Mission Impossible PS1 was the last bad game I can remember playing, Devil May Cry 2 is my least favorite game of all time. So those are my favorite and least favorites. Thank you for your question once again, GamingTastic. I appreciate it. And I wanted to save these last questions for last because these questions come from my first ever YouTube or content friend known as Pion Slayer. So Pion, shout out to you, similar to Goof. Very much appreciate you submitting questions. Good to see you're still kicking around YouTube a little bit, man, even if you're not as active in the content scene. But thank you once again for submitting your questions. So Pion has a few questions, and the first two I'm going to kind of combine into one because they're kind of callbacks to old YouTube series that I was part of and ones that I did. He asked me for, first of all, are you bringing back Vlogging 101 or the YouTubers Interactive Q&A series? So to answer the Vlogging 101 part of that, I used to do this series on my first ever YouTube channel, The Boss Official, where I would do like these, I would vlog daily, I would talk about my day regardless of what was going on, and I would attempt to give advice to people, even though I was just starting out myself at the time. Kind of how to do vlogs, what was interesting, how to appeal to an audience, video length. I was trying to do my best to give advice to people in the vlogging scene, and of course detail the events of my own life at the same time. Nowadays I don't really make vlog content very much. I think the last video I put on Nostalgia Factor on this channel was the first vlog kind of I've done, but it wasn't really a vlog about my life, it was more so about this channel as an update. So will I ever bring back Vlogging 101? Probably not that series title specifically. If I do any vlogs of any sort, or like important like discussion videos, they'd be on DeBoss Official, which I've already done a few of those. I haven't uploaded there in a few months, but because I'm focusing on this channel and some other things in my own life. But will I ever bring back that specific series? Probably not, but I will do vlogs in the future and do like discussion videos and life updates and that kind of thing. So I'll still do vlogs, but not the Vlogging 101 advice series specifically. And in terms of the YouTuber interactive series, he's referring to, so Pion's referring to in addition to the Vlogging 101 series, another series I was part of when I first started doing YouTube 6-7 years ago now. It's been a long while since then. Me, Pion, and a group of other content creators would do these vlogs back and forth where we would have like some overarching questions and we would all answer them, and we would do some like funny sketches and whatnot and answer the questions, and Pion uploaded several of those on his YouTube channel, where our group at the time would have all these answers that were in one video. In terms of if we would ever do that again, maybe. Maybe we could revive that series at some point. I would be interested in doing something like those YouTuber vlogs that we did, Pion, to answer that question. So, could we do it in the future? Could we bring that back? Sure, I could see that happening. Do some other collaborations and whatnot. I'd be up for it. Depending on the format and everything else, of course. But absolutely, I'd be down for that. So, I think that'll be a lot of fun. So would that series ever come back? Sure, I hope so. I think that would be a lot of fun. Last question Pion asked may seem like a bit of an oddball one, but he asked me, why did it take me so long to shave my head? So it's been no secret if you've been following me here on either YouTube channel or podcasts or anything else I've done with other creators in the past, that I am bald. I was balding far before I decided to shave my head or anything else. Genetics on both sides of my family aren't the best, and I started losing my hair in my early 20s. And I'm sure a lot of guys, even at my age, like early mid-20s, could probably relate to this a little bit too. But I started losing my hair probably around like junior, senior year of high school, and then in college, the first few years, it just rapidly deteriorated. Eventually got to the point where the only hair that I have on my head at this point is basically like the back part here, where it looks like this part here in the front is gone permanently. The only part I have is like the back of my head, and while it looked decent, I don't think it was the best hairstyle I could ever go with, and I got advice for years from people who both were in similar positions to myself and friends and family members who gave me the advice of try shaving it off. You could make the bald beard look good. It could be a new look for you to try out, something that you might like, rather than just having this half head of hair basically. So one day, a few months ago rather, I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. So I had my hair cut, and honestly, I've kept it the same ever since. It's still a newer look of sorts, but this is the best look I think I've ever had. The beard I will always naturally have. I've had probably ever since high school. Senior year, junior year as well. So why did it take me so long? Because I never really got around to it. It's never really something that I wanted to try and take the leap on doing. I just maintained this hairstyle, never really something that majorly came up. But I think I should have done it sooner, because I've gotten, not only a lot of people have given me a lot of positive feedback on it, about how good it does look, but Pion himself even mentioned someone that's close to him thought it looked good as well, so thank you for that. But a lot of people have given me some positive feedback on it, and yeah, I think this is the look that I'm going to ultimately stick with. And the reason why it took me so long, just never really got around to it. But again, I wish I would have done it sooner. But better late than never, right? But that is the last question of the Q&A, a hair question. Thank you for your questions, Pion. I do appreciate them, buddy. And that is it for today's Q&A video, guys. I feel like this is probably one of the more in-depth Q&As I've done on this channel in a long while. Trying to add a bit more detail into some of these questions and whatnot. And again, I love doing this to interact with you guys in the community. It's always just a fantastic time. And I appreciate every single one of you guys. You guys are the reason why I keep making videos and trying to do projects like this in the first place. So to everyone who supports the channel and participates in stuff like this, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. That being said, though, guys, thank you for making this a successful Q&A. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section down below if you do have any thoughts on the answers that I've provided, or you would like to add in your own answers or experiences to some of the questions asked today. If you did enjoy this, give the video a like. It does help out the channel. It does help out the video as well, and it shows your feedback as well. Thank you very much. And if anyone here is new that came across this video, or you want to continue on this nostalgic journey as we continue to delve into future retro video games with reviews and collabs with other YouTubers, or projects like this in the community, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up on those videos. I would very much appreciate it if you guys wanted to. Not forcing you to or anything like that, but if you wanted to, it's very much appreciated. I would love to have you along. So, that in mind, guys, thank you once again for checking out this video. Don't forget to check out that community tab post between Hot Wheels on the DS and The Incredibles on the GBA. I think they should be brief, fun reviews to do, again, on different qualities, and to kind of go to more of those obscure, fun type of review videos. So, but yeah, either way, guys, thank you very much for checking out the channel. Very much appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you nostalgics in the next one. Keep on gaming.